Every 2 seconds, someone buys an EV, and 50% of them are from China. In 2023, global production of electric cars reached 14.2 million units, with China dominating the market. Not only did China manufacture 67% of these vehicles, but it also sold 9.5 million units domestically. There's a reason why Chinese are keen on buying EVs. For a mere $22,000, Chinese consumers can acquire a brand new EV that accelerates from 0 to 100 in 7.5 seconds, boasts a 500-kilometer range, and feature leather seats. Such a combination of performance, range, and luxury at this price point is unheard of in the United States. China's dominance extends beyond manufacturing and sales. The country controls over 70% of key materials essential for EV batteries, which are the most crucial and expensive components of an EV. So it simply means you can't make an EV without China. But 13 years ago, China's EV industry was a joke.
Their electric vehicles. Warren Buffett owns 10% stake in that. Why do you laugh? BYD is trying to compete. Why do you laugh?
Have you seen their car?
What happened in China during these 13 years? And how did the copycat transform into the leader of EVs? Welcome to BillionBiz. In this video, we will unpack how China transformed from a copycat to a trendsetter, outpacing Mercedes, Volkswagen, and Toyota in the EV race, and why you might soon be buying a Chinese EV. 40 years ago, China's automotive industry was virtually non-existent. The country's focus was primarily on developing heavy industry and agriculture. With assistance from the Soviet Union, China managed to produce some trucks and sedans, but these vehicles were generally of poor quality and unreliable. The nation lacked three crucial elements for a competitive passenger car industry: raw materials, modern production lines, and a skilled workforce. Not only was China lagging behind global automakers in every aspect, but China was also highly resistant to Western capital and influence. China realizing it couldn't build a reliable car industry alone, so they decided to seek help from global automakers. But there was a catch. At first, no one wanted to cooperate, because China wanted advanced car technology, but didn't offer much in exchange. Foreign companies weren't interested because they saw little benefit in sharing their expertise without getting enough in return, especially market access. The turning point came when Thomas Murphy, GM's chairman, introduced a new concept for China: joint ventures. The idea was to show China that they could rely on Western capital to develop their own industries, rather than simply providing a consumer market. So after 3 months of discussion, China's policymakers had come to a decision. The foreign automakers could tap into China's massive market, but they must partner with a local company to establish a new company, and cannot have more than a 50% stake. So in China, you can see names like BillionBiz and SAIC GM instead of Mercedes and General Motors. It was a win-win-win deal. So first, Chinese companies gain expertise. Second, foreign brands tap into a billion-strong customer base. Third, the government scales jobs and tax revenue. For 30 years, this system worked great, but mainly for the foreign brands. Meanwhile, Chinese brands like BYD and Geely were stuck playing catch-up, copying successful models but never really competing. But here's where it gets interesting. China's policymakers recognized that competing directly with automotive giants like Toyota or Volkswagen was impossible. The decades of patents and intricate supply chains these companies had developed over 50 years was simply hard to overcome. So So what do you do when you can win a race? For China, they decided to change the game. In 2008, while Elon Musk was unveiling the Tesla Roadster, China saw something the rest of the world missed: a golden opportunity in EV industry. Now let's break it down. EV has three core technologies: motors, batteries, and control systems. But there's the kicker. Before Tesla, most car companies ignore this. Why? Simple. Gas cars were cash cows, so why create your own competition? This oversight created a level playing field. Suddenly, China wasn't decades behind. They were at the starting line with everyone else. But China had an ace up its sleeve. Remember when Western countries moved their manufacturing to China? That decision gave China three crucial advantages. The first is the electronics production lines. The second, a workforce of skilled engineers and workers. The third, a massive domestic market of over 1 billion consumers. It was like China had been unknowingly preparing for the EV revolution all along, while other countries were stuck in the gas-powered past. So at this point, China was perfectly positioned to leap into the electric future. However, making an EV was not easy. BYD's first EV, the E6, launched at $50,000, while BYD didn't reveal manufacturing cost of the E6. We can take Tesla's Model 3 as an example, which launched at $35,000 with $28,000 production cost. So the E6 likely cost around $40,000 to make, possibly more due to the early tech issues and material cost. To support this emerging industry, the Chinese government implemented a comprehensive subsidy program in 2009. By 2011, when BYD had just sold 300 EVs and 200 electric buses, they had already received over $140 million in research and development subsidies. But making the EVs was just the first step. Selling a $50,000 car was not that easy. So the government's support extended beyond manufacturers to consumers. State and local governments subsidized consumers $15,000 per unit for the purchase of EV, plus tax exemptions. This brought the E6 price down to about $35,000, making them more accessible to the average consumer. Recognizing the importance of infrastructure, China also invested heavily in charging stations. Homeowners can receive a $50 to $100 subsidy for installing a charger. Subsidies for public charging stations vary by region, but generally, the government covers 30% of construction cost and 20% of operating cost. By 2023, China had installed 8.5 million charging facilities, with public chargers available every 1.8 miles in major resident areas. This coordinated effort between manufacturers, consumers, and the government created a powerful growth circle for China's EV industry. In just over a decade, more than 50 EV companies emerged in China, offering a wide range of vehicles from budget to luxury segments. Now, Chinese EV manufacturers are setting their sights on global markets. BYD, for instance, exported over 240,000 vehicles in 2023 and is planning factories in several countries. However, entering North American and European markets presents significant challenges due to high tariffs and trade investigations. But here's where it gets interesting. Chinese automakers are playing the long game, seeking automaker partnerships in North America, and already selling Chinese EVs in Mexico, waiting for their moment. And that moment might come sooner than you think. The president who dodged the bullet will very likely eliminate electric car subsidies and welcoming Chinese manufacturers to build joint ventures in US. Whether this joint venture strategy will return a win-win-win situation for the US, we will have to wait and see. So here's the billion-dollar question. Can the US or Europe catch up in the EV race? Or is China too far ahead? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. This is BillionBiz, where we break down big business moves. And thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more.